Have you let anyone borrow your phone before? One woman let her son borrow her phone, but she could have never expected the terrifying things she saw after she got her phone back. So this woman got her new phone and she put it on the kitchen counter and went to watch some TV. That's when her son came in and asked if he could borrow the phone to play with it. The woman didn't think much of it at first, so she agreed, but she could have never known that this would lead to a terrifying discovery. When it was nighttime, she got ready to tuck her son into bed, so she went upstairs to his room, but he wasn't there. Then she ran over to her room and saw him sleeping on her bed with the new phone in his hand. She felt relieved, so she took her phone back and started looking through it. At first, nothing was out of the ordinary. She saw her background had changed, but it wasn't until she saw the photos that she found the horrifying surprise.
Hi y'all, here's a story time of how I got out of getting in trouble at school. So I believe I was in first grade at the time, and I had a best friend named, let's just say, Allie. Allie had this huge crush on this boy named, let's just say, Mark. Mark liked Allie, and Allie liked Mark back. So word got around that they both liked each other, so they scheduled a wedding. At the time, the whole grade was all obsessed with marrying each other and crushes and dating, but I was not really into that. I was more into sports and my grades, so I thought that this was kind of a crazy idea. So Allie comes up to me, tells me that she's getting married, and she invited me to her wedding. I thought this was absolutely nuts since I knew this relationship was not going to go anywhere, but I still said yes that I would go because, once again, it's my best friend. So the day comes, Allie wears a dress and heels to school, so she would look like a bride. I honestly forgot what Mark was wearing, but it was probably not groomly at all. But the wedding was scheduled for during recess. So we go through the school day. Allie was pretty excited about her wedding. I'm pretty sure Mark was too. And we finally make it to recess. I still thought this was an absolutely nuts idea because literally nothing was going to happen in this relationship. But I was still supportive and hyping her up. So we go out to recess and they have the wedding. It was kind of behind the play structure, so it was kind of hidden so the new names wouldn't see. So I went over there for 2 minutes, but then I just thought this was absolutely horrible and boring, so I just left. But then once again, word got around and the lunch lady came. The lunch lady made all of them go down to the principal's office, and I got in huge trouble for this. While I was just sitting on the slide laughing because I knew I got out of trouble.
So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had this teacher who would only let the students in her class use the restroom one time per semester. Well, one day I raised my hand and I was like, excuse me, I don't remember her name, can I please use the restroom? And she was like, no you can't because you've already used the restroom in my class this semester. Well, excuse me, you can't dictate my bladder. So I'm all frustrated, and I started secretly texting my mom because I wasn't allowed to use my phone in class. And I was like, Mom, I'm sitting in class right now, my teacher won't let me use the restroom. And she was like, I'll take care of it for you. And I was like, okay. So 5 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden my teacher's phone starts ringing, and she walks up to it and answers it, and she's like, hello? Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then she walks up to me so angry, and she slams the pass on my desk, and she was like, since you have to go that bad. And I was like, yeah, I really do, thanks. And I got up and left. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. It was just the principle of it. I just roamed the halls.
Storytime on how my mom tried to convince me to have a threesome with her. So I had just graduated high school, and my mom was single for a while. Then she started dating this guy, which me and my brother really liked, but he was a few years younger than my mom. And honestly, we were happy for her. She was very depressed and miserable with my dad, so we were okay with it because she was finally happy. So like I said, I had just graduated high school, and I always said I never wanted to go to college, so I started working retail. One day while I was at work, my mom called me and said, hey, let's go out shopping. And who am I to say no? So after I got out of work, I met my mom and we went lingerie shopping. That's what she specifically wanted to get. So we were at the store, and the first thing she said was, let's get matching sets, which was weird coming from my mom, but I said, fine, come back for part 2.
This is the time my mom faked her death so she didn't have to take care of me and my siblings. Yes, this girl really faked her death. So at the time, I was 5 and my little brother was 3. It started off with my mom saying that she didn't feel well and she couldn't pick me up from school, so the bus would have to take me home. Well, a few months after, she started getting picked up from our house by this black car. She said that car was picking her up because of her so-called doctor's appointments. And she wasn't able to drive herself because she was too sick. Well, one day when this car came to pick her up, she never came home. Me and my little brother were sitting around for a couple days waiting for her to come home, but she never came home. And we were young, so we didn't do anything. Eventually, my aunt came over to our house and told my little brother and I that our mom had passed away and that she was cremated and they kept the ashes. So our aunt started taking care of us. Until one day I saw my aunt getting picked up by that same black car. That's when I started to get suspicious of everything and I decided to check these ashes. When I checked, it was flour. Like for part 2.
Am I the asshole for ruining a pregnancy announcement by telling the woman she may have taken the wrong test? My husband and I recently invited 8 friends for lunch and we were asked if we could also include a new couple, Doug and Sasha. We have never met them before, but everyone who was invited had, so we said sure. At one point during dinner, Sasha needed to use the restroom, and I told her to use the master suite since the other bathroom was occupied. I was helping my husband in the kitchen when Sasha came out of the room bawling and holding something in her hand. At first, I thought she hurt herself, but she said something to Doug that caused him to drop to his knees, cry, and begin kissing her stomach. All of our friends began screaming, jumping, and crying. It was insane. Finally, Sasha tells my husband and I that she is pregnant. Of course, we congratulate both of them, and then I give them a bag to put the pregnancy test in. I will admit, I did find it odd that she brought a pregnancy test and took it at a complete stranger's house, but I didn't say that out loud. Once everyone sat down to eat, Sasha looked over to me and said, "I hope you don't mind that I used one of your pregnancy tests. I just saw them and I had to." Looking at her confused, I responded, "I don't have any pregnancy tests." Sasha says, "Yes, in your drawer."
This is a story of the teacher's pet. So let's just call him Marco because I don't want to call out his real name. So it all started with the first day of school. Marco was picked first for everything, literally everything. When a student would ask to use the restroom, the teacher would say no, and like 5 minutes later, Marco would ask and she would say yes. Even though students brought it up to her multiple times, she still continued to favorite Marco. And on Marco's desk, he even wrote the teacher's pet on his name tag. So the next week came by and our teacher brought in a whole pizza box. The whole class was so excited until the teacher announced that it was for only her and Marco. Both of them literally finished the whole entire box. The whole class always wondered why she would always favorite Marco. So it was the next day and it all made sense because the teacher announced,
"Hey, Dad,
Yeah, but
I made a girl cry today, but I didn't mean to."
what happened?
Well, she said, "I think you're kind of cute." Then I said, "Well, that's nice." Then she said, "Well, don't you love me?" And then I said, "Hey, listen, how would you like to be the sun of my life?" And then she said, "Oh, 'cause I'm so bright." And I said, "Well, kinda, but you can start by being 93 million miles away from me."
You don't say that to girls. I can't.
I literally want to cry. So if you didn't know, I have a sister and her name's Ashley. And we both have boyfriends. And every night we both fall asleep on the phone with our boyfriends. So one day we're all hanging out and we're like just talking. And my sister's boyfriend looks at me and he's like, "You need to stop going into your sister's room in the middle of the night." And I look at him and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't have a reason to go into her room. Like I don't go into her room, especially in the middle of the night." Then my boyfriend hops in the conversation and he's like, No. He's like, "No, I hear Ashley go into Kayla's room every night and stare at her." So me and my sister both look at each other and we're like, "We don't go into each other's rooms, do we?" And we agreed that we do not. And they said this has been going on for months. So for months, somebody or something has been going into me and my sister's room for about 15 minutes every night and watching us sleep. But it only gets worse.